All right, I got a early-ish Gibson GA-5T Skylark. This is the version that uses the ECL82 versus a 6V6 output tube. So it's got one 12AX7, the ECL82, and a 5Y3 rectifier. And the amp is overall in pretty original state, which is good and bad. This big multi-section cap can is a Rubicon. It looks like it was added in the very early 90s. And not crazy about how they pinched the heater wires there with that clamp. This is a 4-section, 20 microfarad per section cap. The original cap in here would have been 2010-10. So that's one of the clues it's not original, plus the date code on the thing. I think I'm just going to take that out. And there are 2 caps which mount here, which are connected to points on this rectifier tube. And then there's one point which is connected over here. And I'm going to get some nice high quality modern radial caps, because this old rectifier tube socket has got ground tabs, which is where this cap is grounded now. And that will allow me to put a 22 microfarad cap here and a 22 microfarad cap here, with some silicone up against the chassis, with the positive going straight to the point in the circuit on the rectifier tube where that's connected, and the other side to ground at the output socket frame. And then the other one can be over here. And there's plenty of, once this is gone, there'll be room for it to be over here, mounted against the chassis here. It's got one replaced cathode bypass cap here, kind of janky the way they did that in. I'll neaten all that up. Has 2 original cathode bypass caps that I have disconnected the positive end just to confirm the value. They are 20 microfarads. I'll put in 22s, and life will be good. This has tremolo. I've not tested it yet. It's not safe to power on, and I'll show you why. It's got those old ceramic disc caps beneath the board. Hopefully they'll all be good, and hopefully this one big film cap here won't be leaking. But I want to borrow trebles, so I'm going to start by just replacing the electrolytics and replacing this repaired lamp cable, power cable. It's all falling apart, and has the death cap here. You can see they have the fuse. Well, I'd say they have the fuse on the neutral, but the hot and the neutral flip depending on whichever way you plug this in. This cap is not leaking yet. I measured it goes between 9 volts AC and 1.9 volts AC potential current from chassis to actual earth ground. So this is not a shock hazard, but it could be at any point. So this cap's going to go away. I'm going to get a grounded power cable in here. It's always fun finding the real estate to do that on these, but I think I can get one in right in this area. On some of these, I've actually had to use a very small diameter grounded lamp cable. It doesn't look a lot different than their old stuff, but it does have a ground, and sometimes I will have to use a grommet and a knot rather than a cable clamp. But I'll see what the real estate allows. You know, I could go over here, but I'd rather not. I'd rather make as few changes as possible. Getting this thing cleaned up will go a long way. Getting this old behemoth out. Be a lot more space inside once this monstrosity is out of the way. And you know, I'll measure these film caps when the time comes. But this should be relatively simple. Assuming the tubes are good, and assuming the old 8-inch speaker is any good. But if it's not, there are good sounding 8-inch speakers for $35 or so. So I like the Warehouse G8C. I also like the Mod 7 that Jensen makes. But we shall see. Let me get some stuff on order, and then we'll dive into this. I will say this one of the few Skylarks I've ever had where the screws that hold the top panel in place and that hold the chassis to the cabinet are not all chewed up and stripped out. So I won't have to do any cabinet repair there or go to a larger size screw. Though I often do go to a larger size screw on the little screws that hold the chassis to the wood, because these are like number 3 screws. Just going up to a 4 or a 6 gives a little bit more of a solid connection. But these weigh so little, it's probably not necessary. The first thing I want to do before I do anything else is I want to loosen this cable clamp because it's pinching the heater wires. And so if I do any testing before I change anything, I want to make sure that those heaters are not compromised. The overall circuit, if you squint, is very much like a vibro champ in some ways. Well, a tweed champ with an added trim. But unlike the champ fender, the fender only has one side of the heaters actually connected to the heater tap. The other side is just grounded out, made it cheap to produce. This has got actual balanced heater supply, so it should be much better. And we shall see where everything ends up. I need to consult the schematic because I've not had one of this version in before, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be the cathode, and that'd be a good place to put a heater reference rather than to ground. With a single-ended amp like this, a little Class A with one output tube, you don't get common mode cancellation in the output. So every little trick you can do to reduce hum and buzz in the amp goes a long way. This should be a fun little project.